Hello everyone, I'm Yadagar Reddy and welcome to my channel HPR Tutorials. In this video, I'm going to talk about TestNG XML file. So here I'm going to cover all these points basically. So the first point is what is TestNG XML and what is the need of TestNG XML and how to create the TestNG XML file and how to add the test cases to the TestNG XML file and how to execute those test cases using TestNG XML file. Okay, so these are the points that I'm going to cover in this video. So this is the agenda for this session, guys. So first thing first, what is TestNG XML file? So TestNG XML file is a configuration file which contains the test execution details. Okay, so here the test execution details is nothing but the test execution flow. So how you want to execute your test cases and what are the test cases that you want to exactly execute. So all those informations will be saved under one configuration file, and that configuration file is nothing but the TestNG XML file. So the next one is what is the need of TestNG XML file? So here I will do one thing, guys. So to make this concept very clear for these two questions, so the answer is going to be only one. Okay, basically the answer is going to be one. So I'll tell you one scenario, then you will understand these two questions clearly. So first I'll go to the scenario, then I will answer these two questions after that. So first let me open the Eclipse. So in our previous video, what we have done, we have created one class file. Okay, we have created one class file and we have added two test methods to that class file, right? So if you want to execute one test method from this class file, how do you execute that? You will simply click on this run. So this test method will be executed. And if I want to execute all the test methods present inside this class, I'm going to click on this run all, or I'll just simply right click on this and go to run as, and I'll run this one as a TestNG test, right? So this entire test class will be executed. That means all the test methods that are present inside the test class are going to execute. So here I have only two methods. So it is very easy. So I can either choose this one or I can individually choose this one or I can choose the entire thing, right? But if I have three methods, okay, if I have three methods inside the class or if I have multiple class files and multiple test methods in each class file. So in that scenario, how you are going to execute? So in the real-time scenarios, we are not going to have two test cases only, right? So for project, you are not going to have only two test cases. You are going to have multiple test cases. Sometimes it is going to be in thousands also. So it is not even hundreds, it is going to be thousands also. Okay, so how do you execute all those test cases? So let me give you one example here. So let me write that first class. So I have two classes basically, first class and second class. Let me add one more class also for clear understanding. So inside the first class, I have A, B methods. And in the second class, I have D, E. And in the third class, I have F, G, H, I. So I have four methods inside this one. So in the first one, I have only two methods. And in the second one, I have three methods. And in the fourth one, I have four methods. I mean, in the third one, I have four methods basically. So I want to execute only particular methods from the particular classes. I don't want to execute all the methods here. So how many are there? Basically 2, 5 and 9. So on an overall in my test project, I have 10 test cases, right? So around 10 test cases. So let me add one more here. And I'll say I have 10 test cases, but I don't want to execute all the 10 test cases. I want to execute only particularly 3 test cases. So what are those 3 test cases? So I'll say D, E, H. So these are the methods I want to execute. Only these are the test cases I want to execute. So here, how you will choose this? You cannot directly go into the first class and execute only B, then come back to the second class and execute only E, and come back to the third class and execute only H. So that is not possible, right? Because I want to execute these 3 test cases in single execution. So when I press one button, so when I click on run, all 3 test cases should be executed. So that is my requirement, right? So how do I achieve this requirement? I cannot achieve this one, right? So I mean, if you are following the traditional approach, what I have shown you yesterday, so if you are following that approach, you cannot execute that, right? So because each and every time you cannot go into the class and you cannot click on the run button, right? So we should have something which can have the information of our execution. That means we need to have some file where we can mention like, okay, execute this test method, execute this test method, and execute this test method. So that kind of file we need, right? So that is the configuration file that we are actually talking about. So this file we are actually calling it as a configuration file, and this configuration file itself we are calling as a TestNG XML file. So inside this TestNG XML file, we are going to mention our test cases, what we want to execute and in which order we want to execute and how many times we want to execute and all the information about the execution that we are going to mention inside this configuration file. So that is about the TestNG XML file, guys. So now you got the idea, right? What is a TestNG XML file? TestNG XML file is a configuration file which will have the execution information, like what are the test cases that you want to execute and how you want to execute them. And what is the need of the TestNG XML file? So now I have shown you, right? So you need to have the TestNG XML file because you cannot go into each and every class and you cannot pick the individual test cases. So you need some kind of a file where you can mention the test cases, the list of test cases that you want to execute. So that is why you need the TestNG XML file. And the next one is how to create the TestNG XML file. So now we know what is a TestNG XML file and how to use that one also. Okay, what is the need of that one also. But how do we create that one? So let's see. So if you want to create any file in your Java project, how do you create that? So you will just go to the package and you will just right click on that and click on new and you will select the other. If it is a class file, you will directly pick it from here. If it is an enum file, you will directly click on this one. If it is an interface, you will click on this. If the file, that you are looking for is not displayed here, then you are going to click on other, right? From here, you need to search and you need to create that file, right? So that part is very clear, right? So you all know how to create that file basically. So here, which file we want to create? We want to create the TestNG XML file, right? So here, one more thing I want to convey, guys, okay? So many people are actually asking, okay? Many people are actually asking in the Google that our TestNG XML file name should be TestNG only. Is it like a rule or something? So here, TestNG XML file means it is a XML file, okay? The extension is XML and we are creating this XML file inside our TestNG project, right? So it is going to have the TestNG related information. That means we want to add the test cases that we want to execute. So this is entirely in the TestNG format, right? So that is the only reason we are calling this file as a TestNG XML file. So it's not like the name itself is a TestNG, okay? We are calling this file as a TestNG XML file because this file is present inside our TestNG project and it is having the TestNG related information. That is the only reason we are calling this one as a TestNG XML file. But you no need to have the name also as a TestNG only. You can have any name basically. You can have dummy.xml, you can have first-test.xml, you can have like new file.xml, anything basically. So that is one main important thing, guys, you need to remember. So many people are actually, when they start practicing, right, they will immediately create TestNG.xml. So it is not a rule, guys. It is not a rule that you need to create only TestNG.xml. The file name also should be TestNG.xml. It is not a rule, okay? You can have any name and you can have any file, okay? You can have n number of files in your project also, okay? So that is also possible. You can have n number of TestNG files also in your project. And each file can have a different name. For suppose if you are having 10 files, you cannot have all the 10 files with same name, right? Like TestNG.xml. So you need to differentiate each file. So you can have any file name and you can have n number of files also. So that is the one important thing that you need to remember. So this is a silly doubt only, but it is actually a valid doubt. Because if you go to YouTube or if you go to Google or anywhere, right? So people actually find like this, TestNG.xml. So people assume that the file name itself like a TestNG.xml. So they don't know, right? So they will assume that the file name itself is a TestNG.xml. Basically, it is like this, TestNG XML, not TestNG.xml. So here I have intentionally put TestNG.xml to explain this concept basically. So let me remove that so that it will be good for us, because as we have discussed the concept now, so it is good for us to remove this one now. So now we want to see, how to create the TestNG XML file. So as I said, it is a XML file and you can have any name for that. So here I need to create the XML file, right? So let me first check whether I am able to directly create the TestNG XML file or not. So when I type TestNG here, I'm getting only TestNG class. So I don't have any option to create the TestNG XML file here, right? So then what we need to do? So as I said, it is a XML file. So we can create one XML file with any name, right? Then we can add the TestNG related code to that one. That is a possible one now, right? So how do you create the XML file? Just type XML here. So here we have the option to create the XML file, right? So let me click on next. So here actually we have two ways to create the XML file, guys. So first I'm showing you with entirely manual process. Then I will show you how to generate the TestNG XML file. So here I can have a name like new file.xml. So this is valid only, right? So I'm going to create this file under the resources folder. So if you are creating anything like if you are adding a driver executable files, or if you are creating the XML files or properties files or anything, those comes under the resources. Okay, those will not be, those will not be stored under any package. Those comes under the resources folder. So I'm going to create them under the resources folder, and let me click on finish. So now the XML file is created. So when you create any XML, by default this will come. Okay, so it is going to represent what is the version and what is the encoding format of this XML file. So if you want to keep it, it is fine, you can keep it. If you don't want to keep it, that is also fine, just you can remove it. So I'm going to keep this one. And then we need to add the TestNG related information here, right? So what we need to add, so to make that clear, let me tell you one more example here. Okay, so generally in our Java, what we will have the packages, right? So inside the package, what we will have the class files. So inside the class, what we will have again, we will have the methods. So this is like a structure, right? So you will have a package, under the package you have a class file, under the class file you have a method. So in the similar way, here also we are going to have a test suite. So generally manually what you will have, for suppose if you want to keep all the 100 test cases at one place, what you will call that place? That is a test suite, right? So inside the test suite, you are going to have the test cases basically, right? So the first thing is test suite. Inside the test suite, we are going to have the test cases. So I can say test. Inside the test, I'm going to have the test steps, right? Test steps. So inside the package, I have a class. Inside the class, I have methods. So in the similar way, I have a test suite. Inside the test suite, I have multiple tests, and each test is having multiple test steps also, right? So let me implement the same here. But here I'm going to implement in a different concept, guys. So I'm going to implement in a little different concept here. So first, let me add the suite. So here it is suite, not test suite basically. So I need to add the suite first. So in XML, everything is a tag only, right? So you can have any number of user defined tags here. So suite is one tag, and again test is one tag, class is one tag. So here I have created a suite tag. So inside the suite, what we are going to have? We are going to have the tests. So multiple tests we are going to have, right? Your tag name should not be tests, okay? Because it is a plural, but you are going to create a singular one here, right? So like this, you can have multiple things. So then we can say tests. So you can have like this, but for now, I'll go with only one test. And let me add like this. So inside the test, I'm going to have the test steps, right? But I don't have any tag called test step. So I should not write any tag called test step. So where exactly these steps are actually residing at? So when you create any class, under the class, you are actually creating the test methods, right? So each test method is going to represent one test step. Okay, each test method is going to represent one test step. So where exactly this test method is actually present? It is present inside one class file, right? So if you want to access the test method, you need to access the class first, right? So that means we need to have the classes. So under the class, we are going to first pick one class, and under that class, we are going to pick multiple methods. So in each class, you are going to have multiple methods, right? So like this. So let me align this. So this is the order that you need to follow, guys. Okay, this is the order that you need to follow basically. So if you don't want to mention the methods, and if you want to execute all the test methods inside a class, then you no need to have the methods tag here. You can directly write like the class name something, and it's going to be a self-closing tag. So like this, you can have multiple classes also, right? So for suppose if I want to create one test with multiple test steps, so in this scenario, so if you consider this entire thing as a test, so if you consider each one as a test step, so I'm creating one test case like this, B, E, H. So if I execute these three methods, then my test will be completed. So like this, I can have one more test, that is A, D, and I. Now I have two test cases with each one is having three steps. So like this, I want to build. So in this scenario, I'm going to have the methods tag. But here, if you want to execute all the methods, all the test steps inside one class, then you don't have to mention the methods tag here. Okay, you can directly like this. So if you want to execute multiple classes, you need to write like this. You can have multiple classes also, because all your test methods cannot be in the same class, right? They can be in different classes also. Like this, for suppose I want to execute all these methods and all these methods also, then I need to execute two classes, right? So in that scenario, you can have two class tags here. So inside the classes, you can have two class tags or three class tags also. Any number of class tags you can have, okay, based on your test basically. So now what I'm going to show you is, So in our previous video, we have created this one, right? So some people are actually asking like why you are actually showing with the basic websites like Google and Facebook. So we want to see something new. So we have something called OrangeHRM demo. So this is one good website for practicing Selenium, OrangeHRM demo. So you might have already come across this website. So this is the website, guys. You can find the username and password on the login screen itself. So once you log into that one, you have so many options. Okay, you have so many options, and if you click on anything, so you will have again so many options. You can have n number of drop downs, you can have n number of checkboxes, and you can have date controls. So everything you can practice from here, guys. So that is why I'm going to choose this website basically. So here what I'm going to do, I want to test two scenarios. So what are those? I want to log into the application and I want to see whether I logged in or not. That is the one scenario. And the next scenario is I want to log into the application, then I need to click on this My Info tab and I need to see whether these things are actually displayed or not. So these are the two test cases that I want to execute along with the test Google and test Facebook also. So how do I write that? So I have already created one class file. Okay, for the time saving, I have already created one class file called OrangeHRM. So inside the class file, I have added few test methods. So what are those methods? One method is for launching the app. So what exactly it will do? It will launch the Chrome browser and it will maximize the browser and it will navigate to OrangeHRM website. Then I have another test method that will enter the login details and click on login. And I have another test method for navigating to My Info tab. So once you log into this one, I need to click on this My Info tab, right? So for that, again, I have one more test method because as I said, every test method is going to represent one test step, right? So that is why I have like this. And next I have something called Verify My Info. So once I log in, once I open this one, once I click on this My Info, I need to verify whether these details are actually displayed or not. So that is another test method. And here one more thing is Verify Login. So in the first test, as I said, we want to verify the login is successful or not, right? So for that, I need to verify the login also. Okay, so I have added the code. So here I'm not doing much verification, guys. So in the verify login, what I'm doing, I'm verifying the welcome message. So where exactly it is. So let me show you that. So this is the one. Welcome is there, right? So this is the one I'm actually verifying. So you can see this is the ID. So if I get this welcome message, that means that my login is successful, right? So if I don't get this one, then my login is failed. And in the similar way, here instead of verifying all this text and details, I'm simply verifying the div tag here. So what is the div tag? So let me take this entire div. So this is the employee details div. So if this employee details div is displayed, maybe all this information is also displayed. For now, we are not actually narrowing down. Okay, we are just doing this one at the high level. So I'm just verifying whether this div is actually displayed or not. That's it. So now I want to add these test cases. Okay, so if I right click on this and run as, then all the tests will be executed and they will be executed based on the alphabetical order. That is the first thing that you need to remember. So when you right click on any class and execute the test cases, they are going to execute in the alphabetical order. They will not be executed in the particular order, right? So to avoid that, we are going to use the TestNG XML. Okay, we have another way, but that way we are going to look in our upcoming videos. So for now, we want to learn the TestNG XML file also, right? So that is why I'm going to show you from here. So how do I add that? First, I need to have one class, right? One class I want to have, and inside the class, I want to have the methods. So here, I'm not getting the auto suggestions basically, guys. So that feels like, odd. So I'm not liking this one. So whenever you type MET, you are not getting the auto suggestion. So it is not automatically filling. That is because this is a manually created XML file and we don't have any DTD specified here. So we haven't specified any template here that this XML file should have all these tags like that. So that is why we are not getting any auto suggestions here. So I don't like this one. Even you don't like it, right? So you have to type everything manually. So to avoid this, I'm going to generate the TestNG XML file. Okay, I'm going to generate it. This time I'm not going to create manually. I'm going to generate the TestNG XML file. Did you observe my word? I'm going to generate the TestNG XML file. So how do I generate that? So let me just right click on the project. So here, for suppose I want to create this TestNG XML file under this resources folder, right? So I'll simply right click on this and go to TestNG. So here in this menu bar, you will find something called TestNG. So if you don't find this option, that means you did not install the TestNG Eclipse plugin. So if you find that option, then your TestNG Eclipse plugin is installed successfully. So once you find this one, just go to that one. So here we have something called convert to TestNG. So click on that one. So here it is showing the options. Okay, it is showing basically. So first let me delete this. Okay, so it is having the, okay, now it is deleted basically. So let me right click on this basically, or let me right click on the project itself this time and convert to TestNG. So now you can see we have the XML file created here, right? We have the preview of XML file. So I mean our TestNG project is by default creating one XML file for us with all the information. So now we have two class files and each class file is having some test methods in it. So that is why two class files are actually added here. So if you want to modify that, how do you modify that? So after you generate this XML file, you can directly go into that XML file and modify that file, right? So here it is asking the location where you want to create the file. So by default, the name is going to be TestNG.xml file. So you can change the name also. So where I want to create that file, I want to create that file under src, under test, under resources folder. So inside the resources folder, I will say mytest.xml. I'm not going to choose the TestNG.xml. So I'm not going to choose that name TestNG here. I'm going to choose my file name as mytest.xml. So what is that suite name? So you can provide the suite name and you can provide the test name also. So by default, the suite name will be suite only and by default test name will be test only. So let's keep like that only and I will show you where to change and everything. So let's click on finish. The XML file is actually created. So let's open that. So let me remove these tags actually. I mean these are the comment lines. So it is going to disturb us. Okay. So I have removed them. So now you can see here we have something called doc type. This is the DTD that I'm talking about. So if you have this DTD, right? So inside this DTD, all the information is going to be available. Like, I mean, what is the format that you need to follow and how many tags you need to have, everything. So what are those default tags that you need to have? Every information is going to be available inside this DTD file. So that is why here we will get the auto suggestions. So here you can see we have something called suite, and for the suite, we have something name. You can name it anything. So I'm just naming it as demo suite. And I have one test also. For this test, I have something called thread count. So I'm going to remove that. So I'll explain about the thread count in our upcoming videos. For now, just ignore that one. So for test also, we have something called name. Okay, you can name your test. So manually, you will have a subject for your test, right? So in the similar way, here also, you can have some name and description also. So what is the name? I will say login, HRM, OrangeHRM login. OrangeHRM login. So in the similar way, I can have another test also, right? I can have another test. So that test name will be OrangeHRM myinfo. And I can have another test also. What is that? Test Google simply. I can have multiple tests like this, guys. So inside your suite, right, you can have n number of test cases. So inside each test, I need to specify what are the methods that I want to execute, right? So here by default, all the class files are actually displayed. So I don't want to use all the class files. So here it is actually pointing to OrangeHRM login. That means I need to only perform the login operation here. So here, if you mention this class name, all the test methods inside the class are going to execute. But I don't want to do like that. I want to specifically mention the methods here. So then you need to have methods tag inside the class tag. So methods, the tag name is methods. So this time I'm not going to type the entire thing. So I'll simply write MET and I'll press Ctrl space. Now you see, we are automatically getting it, right? So these are the auto suggestions and auto generations that we are actually having because of this DTD. So inside the methods, we are not going to have anything called method. Okay, we are going to have include. So that is little bit confusing, but don't confuse. So inside the classes, we have something called class. So this is the plural and this is singular. So this is the plural. Inside the methods, we should have a method, right? We will not have a method. We will have something called include. That means what are the methods that you want to include basically. So under this methods tag, what are the methods that you want to include? So that is the tag, include tag. So when I say INC, automatically you are getting, okay. For this include tag, we are getting one property also, that is name. So what is the method name? So here you need to mention the method name also. So first I want to perform login operation. For login, what you need to do? First you need to launch the application, right? So I'll mention launch application first. Then here, so inside the method, we are not going to again specify anything. So you can have the self-closing tag here. So if you want to mention anything again, you need to write the tags like this. But if you don't want to mention anything inside this, you can have a self-closing. What is a self-closing? So at the end of this one, if you put a slash, then it is a self-closing or auto-closing also. So some people call it as a self-closing and some people call it as an auto-closing. So you can have this kind of tags. So this is one method. Like this, I want to add another method also, right? So what is the other method? So after launching, I need to enter the login details here. So let me go here, enter the login details. Then I need to verify the login information. Okay. So verify login is the method, right? So this is one first test method. So let me align this. So now it is beautifully aligned, right? You can see under the suit we have test, under the test we have classes, under the classes we have class, under the class we have methods, under the methods we have include. So the spacing and everything is properly aligned. So you can easily understand this one. So now the first test is ready and let's prepare the second test. So what is the second test? My info. So this is the same class, right? So I'll just copy this, but the methods that I'm going to use are going to little bit different. So I launch the application, I will enter the login details, but instead of verifying the login, I'm going to verify the my information. Okay. So if you want to verify the my information, first you need to navigate to the my information. So I will navigate to my information, then I will verify the my information. So I need to add one more method here. So while I'm doing this thing, right, you need to observe one more thing, guys. So I'm adding multiple test cases and I'm adding multiple methods also. So in this class, I'm specifically mentioning what are the methods that I want to actually execute. That is what we have actually discussed, right? So that is what the TestNG XML is. It is a configuration file which says like what are the methods to execute and in which order they want to execute. Okay, so those are the information that I'm actually adding here. So that is what I have explained, right? So the next one is test Google. So the test Google is actually present inside the first test. So inside the first test, I need to have this thing. So inside the first test class, I need to execute only test Google method. So I'm going to have only a single method inside this. That's it. So now how many tests I have? I have 3 test cases. OrangeHRM login is one test case and OrangeHRM my info is one test case and test Google is one test case. Okay, inside the test Google I have only one test method and here I have 4 test methods and here I have 3 test methods, right? So generally from the Java file, I mean from this TestNG class, how did you execute the test cases? You either click on this run or click on run all or right click on this and go to run as and run as test. So you need to observe this one carefully. We have something called TestNG test. But here, if you want to execute this TestNG XML file, you need to right click on the TestNG XML file itself and go to run as. Here you will find TestNG suite. So what is the difference there? So there we have TestNG test and here we have TestNG suite. Here we have TestNG suite because in the TestNG suite we have multiple test cases. We have the super tag as suite. So inside the suite we have multiple test cases and each test is having multiple steps basically, right? So here that is why we have something called test suite. So we need to run like this, run as TestNG suite, or you can simply right click on this one from here itself. You can right click on this XML file and go to run as and run as TestNG suite. So let me run this one. So first my OrangeHRM login should be executed, then my info should be executed, and in the end Google should be executed. So login is completed. You can see it printed the text also. Then now my info is actually executing. So login is completed and it has to click on my info and my info is also displayed, right? So now in the last it is executing the Google test basically. So here it says 8 tests are actually executed. Here this console is going to show you the test method count. So how many test methods you executed? Here we have executed 3 and here 4, 3 plus 4, 7 and here 1. So this is 8, right? So the test method count it is going to show you here. So you can see the suite name is demo suite. And here we have something called TestNG results also. So go to that one. So here we have demo suite. Under the demo suite, you can find 3 test cases. OrangeHRM login, OrangeHRM my info, test Google. So inside the OrangeHRM login, we have one class and under that class, we have 3 test steps. And in the similar way, inside the OrangeHRM my info, we have 4 test steps. And in the similar way, inside test Google, we have 1 test step. So we can verify from here or we can go to our root directory. Okay. So where we have actually created the project. So this is my project. So under this project, test output folder will be created. So just open that. So here you will see something called index.html. Okay. Click on that. So you can see demo suite is the suite name and we have 3 test cases, right? So when you click on that, you can see OrangeHRM login, OrangeHRM myinfo, test Google. 3 test cases are actually displayed, right? Here it is saying 3 tests, not 8 tests. So in the console, it is going to show you all the test steps. But here in the TestNG result file, it is going to show you only 3 tests. So now you understand, right? So how to add the test cases we have seen. So let me go back to this one. So we have finished TestNG XML. What is the TestNG XML? And we have seen what is the need of TestNG XML. And we have seen how to create the TestNG XML file. We have created something manually and we have generated using auto generation option also, right? And here we have added the test methods. So how did we add? So after creation of XML file, we have added like this manually, right? So we have to pick the class name using package. So this is something important, guys. So some people actually what they will do, they will remove this one and they will think, right, okay, my class name is OrangeHRM only. I need to mention OrangeHRM. You should not mention like that because you will have multiple packages. So where it has to look for. So for suppose you may have 1 to 10 packages. So your class may present in 5th package or 6th package or 7th package. So our TestNG XML file doesn't know where it has to look for, right? So that is why you need to always mention the package also. Your class name should start with the package name. So this is the entire path. And for the methods, you don't need to mention because inside the class file, you are referring to the methods. Okay, you need to mention the method name only. That's it. So this is how we need to add the test cases and we need to execute the test cases. Fine. So we will take everything slow. So no hurry, guys. Okay, no hurry. We are going to learn each and every topic very clearly by splitting separate sections. So we don't want to rush everything and we don't want to learn the entire TestNG in just an hour, right? So we don't have any rule like that. So as we are starting from the scratch, we want to understand every concept. So you should know what is the reason behind adding the TestNG XML file and you should know why we need to add in this format also. We have created first a suit, under the suit we have created test, under the test we have created the classes, right? So you should not think like, okay, this is a syntax that I need to follow. You need to understand why you are actually following the syntax. Then only it will come into your mind, okay? Otherwise, you will always go in that way and you will not understand what exactly you are doing. So if an interviewer asks you also, you will say that, okay, this is the format. And if interviewer asks you why you need to provide like this, you will have a blank face, right? So that should never happen. So whatever you are learning, learn with full concept. So that is my motto, guys, here. So we don't want to take the big steps. We want to take the baby steps. So let me show you one thing. So I don't want to be like this big Groot. So I don't want to take the big steps. I want to be like this small Groot here. So like this Groot, I want to take the steps. Okay. I want to take the small steps and understand the each concept and enjoy the each concept. So we should not feel like, okay, this is so boring, like that we should not feel. We should have the interest to learn this. So that is what actually I want from you guys. So if you haven't subscribed to my channel, right, please subscribe to the channel. So you need to show the support, right? So I'm spending so much time and I'm creating the videos and you need to show the support from your side. So that support is going to give so much motivation for me so that I can create more and more videos for you. So if you subscribe to the channel and if you write your comment also, like, did you like the video and what part did you like the video? And if you have a doubt, you need to mention that in the comment section, right? You need to mention that in the comment section, like what you did not like and where I can improve that. So if you mention, then only I can improve that. So everything, whatever, either it is a good thing or either it is a bad thing, you need to mention in the comment, guys. The feedback is something that you need to constantly maintain with your trainer. So either it is me or your real-time trainer or anyone. So the feedback is something that you need to maintain. So that is going to give me some motivation and so that I can make more and more videos for you. So that is for this video, guys. I hope you understand this video. If you have any doubts, please let me know in the comment section below. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.